How you doing, Professor? Now, I have to ask, how does one handle BPD?
They tend to be, on the one hand, very dependent and clinging, and on the other, rapidly enraged and rejecting.
You can't have interpersonal relationships if you're not emotionally stable. It's extremely difficult to deal with someone who hates you one day, likes you the next day, and could love you the third day.
What about family members and friends? Do you believe the relationship involving them will deteriorate?
This is a group of people who often need other people to regulate them.
The relationships that they form are often breathe life into them.
And therefore, if the people who are regulating them in some way are getting ready to leave them, it can feel like a life and death proposition.
Absences or separations from those relationships, once they're established, are catastrophic in their significance. Like, I don't exist myself.
So the behavior one goes through can't be changed. So I can't switch up or change the way it is, or does BPD keep it a certain way?
Problematic behavior that an individual who meets criteria for borderline engages in, if you look at the behavior, you will see that behavior, in fact, is highly effective at regulating their emotions. The only big problem with that behavior is it regulates it short term instead of long term. That is the problem.
How about the inner problems that BPD creates, such as lonesomeness or just the thought of never finding that one person?
Thinking about suicide or wanting to be dead is extraordinarily common. Suicide attempts are very common, and suicide itself is very common. Between 8 and 10% of people who meet criteria for borderline personality disorder ultimately end up dead by suicide.
How can we treat this disorder? Is there a way to help those, whether through treatment or training? What do you say?
Borderline personality disorder is an eminently treatable disorder, and patients can be helped. And with good therapeutic resources, patients have a good chance to get better.
There are many therapies which are appropriate and helpful for borderline patients. There are the individual psychotherapies, there are psychosocial therapies which include family interventions and group therapies, and there are medications.
Psychopharmacological treatment is an auxiliary treatment that is helpful in many cases.